in 1952. So don't sit there and try to figure out. I was 9 years old, and that's when we had what we called the junior branches, okay? And when you made your first Holy Communion, you could join. So I joined in 52, and I've been around a long time. Right? It's interesting when we see so many new members, they join the Federation. Oh, I joined, it's an organization, we eat, we have fun, we go to church. And they really don't know the history of the Federation. Why was it started? When was it started? Around 1921, Luigi came to this country. Came from Italy, got a job selling a newspaper, an Italian newspaper, Le Leone. And he went from Bakersfield to Oakland, going from door to door, trying to get the Italians to subscribe. And as he noticed when he went on Sundays, most of the Italians were home, even in the morning, when it was time to go to church. This bothered him. You know, why were all the Italians home? I look at my own family, my own grandparents. They came here. They were mad at the priest in Italy, so why not be mad at the priest here in America too? It's the same reason. That's the way a lot of... And of course, remember, they spoke Italian. They went to Mass, they didn't understand. The Latin, they might have picked up a few, but when the preacher gave a homily or something, they didn't understand. And this bothered Luigi. He met Father Bandini, the two co-founders of the Federation, and explained to Father Bandini. Father Bandini was pastor, St. Michael's Church in Stockton. And they sat down and Luigi explained this. Father, we've got to do something. In the meantime, Augusta, some of you remember Luigi's wife, she became Father Bandini's housekeeper in Stockton. So Luigi and Father Bandini sat down and tried to figure, what could we do? What kind of organization, parochial organization, could we start? And the idea came, well, let's try the Italian Catholic Federation. But where would we go to start it? Would we come to Gilroy? Would we come to Hollister? Would we go to Crockett? No. We'd go to San Francisco, North Beach, where all the Italians were. Okay? They went there, St. Peter and Paul's. But at that time, the Italians were a little uppity there. They didn't want to get involved in an organization. They had their own little groups, so they didn't want it. And if you knew Luigi, and a lot of you still remember Luigi, he was determined. No wasn't an answer for him. So we went out to the Mission District in San Francisco, to the Immaculate Conception Church, tiny church, still there with our big plaque there, and met Father Durantini. He was the pastor. And Father Durantini opened his arms about this organization. Father Bandini was the brains. Father Bandini came from Italy, went to New York, met the Archbishop of San Francisco there, and brought him out to California. If you look back, in fact, in our little library in Crockett, Father Bandini translated Dante's Inferno into English. And we have it there with his signature, because he was our pastor. Not when I was alive, but he came before me, okay? And Father Bandini went through the ritual, went through the bylaws, everything. Even the song, which we think we stole from the Polish organization, but we translated it to Italian. But that goes way back. Luigi was the footman. Luigi was the worker out in the field. And so Luigi and Father Bandini went to the Mission District and started knocking on doors. And I remember the first lady that Luigi told me about was Mrs. Canessa. You remember Marie Grisilli? Bob Grisilli was a member of the Central Council for years, started flights. It was his wife's grandmother. And Luigi went to the door, knocked on the door. She answered. He said, I would like to talk to you about an organization. Well, I'm busy now, come back in a week. And Luigi went back in a week. And Marie was in the background, little girl. And the door knocked, and someone answered. And he said, what's that guy, that crazy guy wants to start that organization. So they invited him in. First family. Then they went door to door. And they explained what they wanted to do. So the first meeting, if you'll notice on the highlights of the Federation, I think it's the second or third page, you'll notice the first meeting was called on June 15, 1924 in the basement of the Immaculate Conception Church. And you read that there were 12 founding members. There were really more than 12 members there that night. In fact, I get a lot of this because I filmed Agostino Bozzini. Remember our last old member of the Federation when he died? He was there that night, but did not get involved. He was really young at that time and didn't want to get involved. So they sat down and they explained the organization. And 12 of them became what we call the founding members, and later became life members. And in those days, when you were a life member, you stayed until the hearse came and got you, all right? You were there for life. That's been changed. Now, when we hit 75, and you heard that we have some new life members, and Carmen, who will be going out at the convention, when you hit 75, like the bishops, you have to step down. So at this convention, there'll be 4 openings on Central Council, because 3 life members had to step down, and you know we just lost Harry Pacini, our Central Council member in Reno, passed away. So there'll be 4 openings there. So, the branch formation was started on June 15th. But we're different than other Italian organizations. Before we can form, we have to get permission from the bishop and permission from the local pastor in a parish. Archbishop Hanna was in Rome at this time. Didn't come back until October. So Luigi Father Bandini met with Archbishop Hanna, and he said, the door is yours. He liked the idea of the organization to bring the Italians, and now every nationality, back to the church. That father, if he needed something, could turn to a group. Husband, wife, children. The men went one way, the wives went another way. No, we were a family organization from the very beginning. We might have lost it during the years and came back, but we were a family organization where the pastor could turn. After the Archbishop gave his permission, the first branch, well, let's step back. The Central Council was incorporated first, before any branch. That's actually, we have our own bylaws, and they're not secret. You think we have a secret organization. And I know years ago, I can remember when Luigi, or a Central Council member, came to our branch meeting. You never said how much money you had. You never talked about anything, because they were spies that were there to see how much you wanted to take. You know, that's how some of the old people looked at it. You know, it's not true, you know, but that was the mentality, you know, and I learned it too, because I was young. Oh, watch out, the spies are here tonight, so we can't say anything. But our bylaws, our statutes are right here. Anytime you want to see them, you can get a copy. This is what governs the Central Council. How do we change them? The Central Council, the 24, can change these. They'll give a notice 10 days in advance that we want to change something. And at the next Central Council meeting, we discuss it. Okay? Many times we vote for it or against it. But they're all right in here. All the committees, the duties of the grand officers, they're almost exactly the same as branches. Just a few other things. How we close branches, how we operate the hospitalization program. Everything is right here. Once the Central Council was incorporated, the first branch was open. Branch number 1 was open on December 7, 1924. Almost 300 members started that branch. We still have branch number 1. You know, now the last branch we opened, and Carmen has to do the numbers, 434? 436. So you're saying, oh, we have 436 branches. No, we're about 150. If you go through, you can see how many have closed. You know, maybe even in your own area. You had a lot of them. In my own area, we've had them that have closed. So we're only about 150 branches, active branches, from 436. And while I'm saying that, hopefully Carmen and I leave Monday for Arizona again. A new branch in Surprise, ready to go with officers and everything. So maybe by September, we'll be opening another new branch in Arizona. So that, you know, just goes slowly. So when the first branch was open, the first Bulletino article, March 1925. Not like the big paper. This was it. This was the Bulletino, the first one. We have all the copies of the Bulletino in the office. Every one that was written. Father Bandini was great. He kept everything. I can remember when he lived in Crockett, my parents used to say he had so much junk on the ICF, it was all over the parish. He kept it. And surprising, I love going down and reading. You'd say, well, I said, I can't read the Italian, but a lot of it's in English. Amazing from the very first one. And I read always this one little paragraph, wherever I find it, where he says, the Federation has just started. I think it's going to grow. But in the last couple of weeks, I see it moving even faster. So he had the idea, he could see that the Federation was ready to go. Ignam bene mittere. On our banner, I came to set a fire. And where was that fire? Excuse me, Father, but it was under the culos of the Italians to get them to come on out. Huh? Go to church and let's go. Okay? And that's what started. And Father Bandini saw this. He knew it was going to grow. June 14, 1925. First convention. Unofficial. Because at that time, we only had 5 branches. And the bylaws said you had to have at least 12. May 29, 1927, the first official convention, we had 13 members in San Francisco. And that was the first time we had an election of the Central Council. There were 12 life members and 12 elected. And people, even myself, I can remember, why do we have those old timers up there? You know, they're dying up there, but they've still got their scarves on. And it was explained to me why they wanted life members. Because they didn't want to see anything change in the Federation. The way we were with the church and anything. And they were afraid, at the very early time, that if you elected a whole bunch of radicals, change everything. No more worrying about the parish, no more. That's why they kept the life members. They knew that they would keep that way, the Federation, the ritual, the structure, the way it was. And we've added to that this time. We're back. We went to 30, 15 and 15, 1959 or so, and then we went back down to 12 and 12. And as I mentioned, convention is where you elect the Central Council, the 12. Those 12 meet with the 12 life, even though we say life, we're still life, but we step down to 75, and we elect the grand officers. And a lot of new people, first-time delegates, wonder, well, how come this guy came in first and he's not even an officer? Or this lady came in first, but that's the structure. The Central Council elects the officers. And you know, politics are in the church, politics are in the ICF. Nothing changes. So this year at the convention there will be a big change, because now the Grand President usually stays for 2 years. And this is the end of Mike Rossi's term. And I know there's someone coming up. I don't know where he is. He may be around here today. I'm not sure. But anyway, there will be a change. And there'll be a new Grand President and going up the chairs that way. So we meet, and that's when we have the election.